Hey everyone, it's Hayes, and it's time for my big Tokyo special theory. I don't know, I feel like this is a special we've got a lot more screenshots and information for. I really didn't feel like we got this much for London or Reverse. I don't know, but anyway, we're going to get into it now. I don't know if they're going to release anything else. Obviously, this is a theory video made with everything so far, but there definitely could be more. So what we're going to do, the structure of this video, is we're going to go through everything we have so far, everything we know for certain, and then we're going to go a bit more into speculation, including me trying to work out which hero corresponds to which Zodiac sign, which I hope I am correct. So let's start by rereading the synopsis. However, there are quite a few, so we're going to read more than one because they each give different kinds of information. So this one, set at an international school at the Japanese capital, Miraculous stellar force follows 12 weapons who discover they are guardians of the stellar matrix, a fractured ancient weapon. Under the leadership of Miki, Mayot, and Yulu, these heroes must overcome personal differences and chaotic friendships to face formidable galactic villains, such as the revenge-driven modeler and the ominous force known as the Supreme. So I feel like that synopsis is more for the upcoming series for them, but I do still feel like it's very helpful for the special itself. But for the special directly, we also have this one. When Ladybug travels to Tokyo, she meets Miki and Kazuno, Kagami's old friends and members of the Stellar Force, a Japanese superhero team. Together, they join forces to stop a new supervillain from wreaking havoc on the city. Throughout this trip, together with Kagami, Marinette discovers that there are many things she still doesn't know about her friend's past. After New York, Shanghai, Paris, and London, Ladybug flies to the other side of the world to live more spectacular adventures than ever before, alongside a group of heroes with unprecedented powers. And we also have this one, meet the Stellar Force with the help of their techno-pixies, techno-magic fairies that channel the energy of 12 Zodiac constellations. They transform into the Stellars. And also it also notes that this special is set between Season 5 and Season 6. And as a result, I'm not going to be talking about Adrian in this video. He's not going to be mentioned. I would assume, obviously, Season 5, this is before they go back to school, so it's before the very ending of Recreation, like the pool scene and stuff like that. So I'm assuming he is still grieving his dad, and that is the reason he is not going. Do I agree with that? No, probably not, but I can't do anything about it. So let's start theorising about what's going to happen. So we've already seen the opening of this special. Kagami drags Marinette to Tokyo. She arrives at her house. She's like, we gotta go to Tokyo. And Marinette's like, okay. No questions asked. Sure, I'll get to Tokyo with you, Kagami. And it starts in the 3D. They're on the plane as they descend through the clouds into Japan. It becomes 2D, which I think is really, really cool from an animation standpoint. Not that I know much about it, just like visually, not from like a technical standpoint. I don't know what I'm talking about technically. Although personally, I actually do prefer 2D animation to 3D, so I am quite personally from that perspective alone looking forward to this special. But it definitely seems that Kagami's in charge. Marinette is like, we're going to Tokyo? Okay. She doesn't really seem to know about the Stellars or what is possibly going on in Tokyo, but Kagami definitely does, and it does seem like she is aware that all of her friends are the Stellar Force members. So perhaps she's heard from Miki, or perhaps she's seen something on social media or whatever, and she's like, yeah, I should probably go and help. But it definitely seems that Kagami is in charge here. However, if one of her old friends has come in contact with her, I don't think it is Kazuno, so it doesn't seem like they are on speaking terms. So they got on the plane to Japan, they arrive in Tokyo, they see some of the bigger sights in the city, like the big Shibuya crossing, and they arrive at an inn. And I think it's an inn. I'm not entirely sure, because a lot of people reckon this pink-haired lady is Kagami's grandma, but I don't actually know. I'm not sure, because I've seen several translations of the trailers, so I'm like, I am no longer sure if that's your grandma or not, because she was very different, but I guess she could have just dyed her hair pink, why not? I'd probably also dye my hair pink if I had to deal with Tomoe as well. So it seems that whoever she is, she definitely owns this inn or whatever where Marinette and Kagami will be staying for their duration in Japan. And whoever she is, even if she isn't related to Kagami, it seems like she does know Kagami because there is this framed photo of Kagami and her friends, so it is likely that she is related to Kagami, and she asks about boys. So obviously this framed photo is all of the Stellars plus Kagami. So this was taken sometime, I guess, in terms of the Miraculous timeline, sometime in Season 1 or 2 before Kagami left for Japan, as we found it in the episode the other day, that Kagami left Japan like during Season 1 / early Season 2 and was in Paris in time for the episode Riposte to take place. And the lady with the pink hair also does ask Kagami about her friends and about boys. At this point, I think a lot of inns in Japan, they often have a hot spring, so Kagami goes out to a hot spring. Marinette's probably a little bit scandalised because public baths in France, as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure it's similar to the UK, isn't really a thing. It's quite normal in Japan, so a nice cultural point that Marinette would be like, what are we doing? But they seem to have a nice time. Again, Marinette tries to bring up more about boys and Kagami's old friends, but Kagami doesn't really want to talk about it. And I think possibly at this point we could have this first flashback, which is, if you remember, it was shown at one of the conferences, I think it was at Comic-Con, where basically Kagami is struggling to make friends. So I think Miki and Kazuna were like, fine, we'll try and become friends with her, since it looks like, judging by their uniforms, they all went to the same school back when Kagami was in Japan. Although why she shouldn't get a new school uniform when she moved to Paris is beyond me, but okay, whatever makes you feel comfortable. And Miki does seem rather competitive, so she basically challenges Kagami to some kind of assault course. Miki does it first, she does it pretty quickly to get that, like, to hit the target or whatever, but Kagami finds another way to hit the target even quicker. And she is very much Kagami back in season 2. Very straightforward, isn't really sure about the nuances of friendship. Although, yes, we are going to ignore in this video that Kagami was like, oh, I've never had friends before, when she clearly has had friends before, so I don't know what that's about, but okay. Anyway, so I think the flashback could come here, but I think it could happen somewhere else as well. So Kagami is just not down for discussing this. I get she and Marinette are friends, but we all have things we don't like talking about, and this is obviously Kagami's. However, the Kwamis, who are also enjoying a little time in the hot spring, in the hot spa, see something attacking the city, and from over the rooftops we can see this big robot. And I'm pretty sure this robot is now and not from the end of the special, which is the other battle, because here it's nighttime, and in the other battle it is much earlier on in the day, like just before sunset by the looks of things. It's not dark, so I'm assuming this robot is happening now, which is the reasoning I've put this in. So the robot attacks, it's like this kind of orangey colour, and the Stellas arrive to take it on, as does Ladybug. Now we never see Kagami in these scenes from what we've seen so far, so part of me thinks that maybe she isn't quite ready to see her old friends yet, considering everything that happened. So perhaps Ladybug goes on her own, and Miki, who I'm pretty sure is the one in the yellow suit, as we saw in the trailer the other day, was like, yeah, thanks for the help, but we're gonna need more than a Ladybug. And she does the lucky charm of this bike. Meanwhile, 4 of the Stellas manage to group together and kind of end up with this ray gun thing. As I theorised yesterday, it seems a bit like Voltron or whatever, where they need all members of the Stellar Force in order to get their Stellar Force mecha. A bit like in Voltron, all members of Voltron need to be on the same wavelength in order to form Voltron with the Lion ships. So I'm assuming it's something similar. So whilst they can create cool weapons and stuff without Kazuno, because it doesn't seem like he's fighting until the end of the special, they can't get their Stellar Force mecha. So at the end of the fight, which I'm assuming they win, the Stellar Force go over to talk to Ladybug, because there wouldn't have been much chance beforehand during the battle. And I would assume they say thank you or whatever, and then somehow Ladybug leads them to believe that Kagami is here. I'm not sure how she could do this without revealing her identity, unless she pretends just to be friends with Kagami as Ladybug and not as her identity. A bit unsure, but okay. Because it does seem like Kagami reveals her identity to them in this special, but I would hope Ladybug doesn't, because, danger. So the next part seems to be the next day, where the Stellar Force team all show up, but without Kazuno. He's obviously going through something else, and here is also where I possibly think where Kagami is suddenly confronted again with her friends, that we possibly also get that first flashback on the day she met them all and became friends with them. I do think she then could possibly ask about Kazuno to see how he's been or whatever, because it doesn't seem like they've been in contact, and then we possibly get this other flashback of Kagami and Kazuno at the arcade. And were they dating? I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? When the grandma in the trailer, or whoever she is, mentions boys, my grandma when she was still alive, if I mention a boy, she'd just be like, oh, is that your boyfriend? I'm like, no, he is just a boy from school. So I'm not sure if it's that kind of situation, or if he actually was Kagami's boyfriend when she was still in Japan. Not entirely sure, but it definitely seems like they aren't on speaking terms anymore, but possibly they had a great relationship. Although I don't know if Kagami in this scene is just perhaps really overwhelmed. Maybe Kazuno has feelings for Kagami. And maybe she has them herself, but to me, Kagami does come across as autistic. And as someone who is autistic myself, I definitely think Kagami just might not understand her feelings. It takes me a while to understand my own, so completely get why she might have been upset in that scene. But it doesn't seem like Kazuno did something directly to hurt her, but he still may have indirectly done it. At that point, I think Kagami may, part of the reason she's here is to speak to Kazuno and try and get the Stellar Force back together, which is possibly the reason why one of the other Stellars called her in the first place. Possibly not Miki, since it doesn't seem that Kagami and Miki get on great. They seem to be quite competitive with each other, so maybe Mayot or Yulu contacted Kagami, but it seems she goes to find Kazuno because she knows Kazuno, no longer being part of Stellar Force, but still having the power or whatever, is the reason they can no longer form the Stellar Force mecha and take down the villains, or the equivalent of the Akumas, together with the mecha. So she meets him, but doesn't go well. She's still really upset, and that night at the inn, Kagami is crying whilst Marinette is trying to sleep, and Marinette is like, you've brought me here to help you, but I can't really help unless you tell me what's going on. So the next day is when the final big battle is, and we get these different kind of creatures. We got the big sharks, like the big kind of Godzilla-like creatures. And in my opinion, it looks like the Supreme is the main villain here, the main antagonist, so like the equivalent of Hawk Daddy in Miraculous. We're going to need a fun name for him when the Tokyo spin-off starts. We'll talk about more of the Supreme at the end of the video though, I promise. And basically what I think he does, like his power, is instead of using a butterfly to turn someone into a villain, they have like these red things on that he throws on them and they become whatever he wants. So it doesn't matter if they're upset or anything, he doesn't need to wait for that. He can just turn someone into a villain, into a bad guy or whatever, and make them whatever. So I think these people turn into the big sharks, the big Godzilla sorts of things. So Ladybug, Miki and the rest of the Stellar Force start fighting, but they know they need Kazuno in order to fight this. So Kagami transforms right in front of other members of the Stellar Force. So like I was saying before, I hope they don't all end the special with knowing Ladybug is Marinette, but it definitely does seem they end the special knowing Kagami is Ryuko, in my opinion. So as Ryuko, she goes to find Kazuno, de-transforms, they have a talk, they hug, they make up, then the two transform and head back to the battle. Although it doesn't look like things are completely resolved, there's still a bit of tension between them, as you can see in the screenshot, but they both start fighting. Kagami uses her Wind Dragon, and with Kazuno, they can finally make the Stellar Force mecha, so they can start properly fighting and properly winning. Although one mecha isn't quite enough, so Ladybug does a lucky charm to make her own Ladybug mecha, however, doesn't have any power to it. So Kagami uses a lightning dragon and basically becomes the power source for the Ladybug Lucky Charm mecha. Let's just call it the Lucky Charm mecha. So it looks like possibly not all the Stellars are needed inside the Stellar Force mecha in order for it to work, but it looks like a couple of them do have to pilot it in order for them to use it. So we have Miki and Kazuno here, who represent Leo and Capricorn, are piloting it. Obviously things are possibly off to a rocky start. Ladybug's never used a mecha as far as we've seen, and it looks like they haven't used a Stellar Force mecha in a long time, so it's a bit rocky, people fall over, whatever. I'm sure it'd be absolutely fine. And this looks like it's the end of the special, where Tokyo is slightly, on fire a little bit, smoke everywhere, but as a joint team they all then throw the mecha into the air and do a massive Miraculous Tokyo special Ladybug. And then we have the ending. I think the ending of the episode, everything is going to be completely fine, as it usually is, and it's going to end at this festival where they're all in the kimonos. You can see Marinette, I'm pretty sure, over here. So whilst Marinette is getting to know the rest of the team, Kagami is just having a nice chat with Kazuno, and they're fully resolving things. No, before anyone asks, I don't think Kagami is going to cheat on Felix. No, I don't think Kagami still has feelings for him, but you can still be hurt by what someone used to have feelings for, even if you are in a relationship with somebody else. Although saying that about the identities, I am wondering, even if they don't say it, they all kind of suspect that Marinette is Ladybug, because we all know Kagami's Ryuko at this point. She all knows we're the Stellar Force, because it definitely does seem like everyone's aware. If that they've worked out, well, Kagami's brought this one girl from France, and Ladybug, who is French, has just happened to show up, so probably you. And then I do think, I don't have any evidence for this, I do think the special could end on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Nothing too extreme, but just something to entice people to come back and watch the spin-off once it starts. I think it's starting next year, but I'm not sure when. Did we receive a date? I need to get better at this. Anyway, that's pretty much everything we know, and I've tried to put it in order that makes sense, but I totally could be wrong. But let's do a little bit of theorising. And first of all, I want to talk about the Techno Pixies, because I am confused. I don't really have any ideas specifically for them. I'd love to know what you think, but we haven't seen like a Kwame equivalent in any of the trailers. So I'm definitely going to be intrigued to see what that is going to look like, since we've seen literally nothing of them at the minute of making this video. Also a little bit confused of what Kazuno actually did to Kagami, because he does genuinely seem, obviously I haven't seen the special yet, he does seem like he's a nice guy. He seems lovely. I think if he hurt Kagami, it was possibly a misunderstanding, or that he genuinely didn't mean to. So I think he's nice. But I definitely also could be wrong. But also, whilst on the subject of Kazuno, I just want to insert this little clip that I did of trying to work out who each of the Stellars are and what colours they correspond to. Hi, hello, from my dining room. I thought it would be easier like this. So I've just got up here, we have the poster of Tokyo Stellar Force of all of the new characters in their colour corresponding outfits, and from yesterday we have the constellation map and then the corresponding colours. So we're going to try and work out who belongs to who. So first up we have Miki, who is Leo, with the yellow light, and then this one looks white but it has a pink tinge to it, which I'll put on the screen so you can see it properly. It's just from my laptop, which I'm pretty sure is this person here, and they are Cancer, representing the sign of Cancer. Then this one, this bright orange one, I'm pretty sure is this person over here, and they are this sign up here, so I'm pretty sure they are Gemini. The next sign we have is Taurus, which is like a brownie orange, which is this bloke on the end. We have red for Aries, which is this person with the horns, because I think Aries is like a goat or something. And then we have these two white ones, but this one has a grey tinge to it, so I'm saying this white one is you. I don't know anyone's names, so I'm just like, it's you. And this is Pisces. Then for green, we have this person representing Aquarius. Then black, of course, we have Kazuno, who is Capricorn. Then this one is Sagittarius for this blue, which I'm pretty sure is this person. Then up next, we have Scorpius, which is this purpley one, which I'm pretty sure is this person. Then we have Libra, which is the grey one, which is this person over here, I'm pretty sure. Up next is Virgo, which is my sign, this sign here, which is you. Then we're back to Miki with Leo, who is yellow. I think that's correct, but other than Miki and Kazuno, I don't know who everyone else is. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was filmed in my dining room at like 9 AM this morning. Anyway, now I want to talk about the Supreme. The Supreme, like I said, it seems like he is the equivalent of Hawk Daddy in, first of all, the Tokyo special, but also the Tokyo spin-off going forward. He seems like, you know, the big bad. We might get other villains like we've seen in this episode, but he is the main guy. We know there's another villain called the Modeler who seems to be coming up in the actual spin-off series, not in this special. But obviously a lot of people have been asking me like, oh, is this the same Supreme from the Reverse special? And I would assume no, because he is in the parallel universe. I would assume this Supreme is the real world equivalent. Now, that's not to say that whoever this Supreme is the exact same person in the parallel universe. The Supreme in the parallel universe that we heard about in the Reverse special seems to be in France. And I would really love it if we one day did get a Reverse special, if it was already an established character, maybe like Suhan or Master Fu, taking on a completely different role. But like as we saw in the different parallel universes at the end of the Reverse special, there was one where Alia and Zoe had retained the Ladybug and Cat Noir Miraculouses, and it wasn't Marinette and Adrian at all, even just swapped, it was someone completely different. So I definitely think there's precedent for that it could be someone entirely different. It doesn't have to be this same guy. Although what he wants, your guess is as good as mine. I've no idea. I would assume he wants the techno magic, the techno pixies, I don't know. But also at the same time, how is he able to turn these people into villains? Again, I'm not sure. I don't believe we have the answers, and I'm not sure we'll be able to find out all of that in the special, since one thing I'm definitely a little bit anxious for is the amount of characters who are going to be in this. It's absolutely jam-packed with a lot of new characters, so I hope it's going to be good, but I'm probably definitely not going to be able to learn all their names straight away, because one thing Hayes is bad at is learning names, and she also likes to refer to herself in the third person because why not? Anyway, besties, that's absolutely everything I have for you. They better not release anything else, or I will not be happy. So let us know what you think of all of this, and I will see you in the next one.